Welcome everybody to One on One with Courtney Starks. And the young queen to the left side of the screen is the sister in my head, the one that I have been waiting for this entire season. I have a set guest list that I choose every season. And when I don't get the guest, I want to end the season. But none other than Loren Lott is in the building. Everybody make some noise. Thank you so much for being here. You have no idea how excited I am to have you. And I truly mean this, Loren. I watch you every day on, first of all, I feel like you show up on my timeline on Instagram at least 4 or 5 times out the day. And I'm like, there's no way I couldn't be the twin brother. Why couldn't I be the twin? How are you? How are you doing? How's everything going? All that good stuff.
I am doing really great. I'm super excited to be here, and I already love your energy, so I'm excited to talk and play with you.
Thank you so much. So I have so much that I want to kind of talk about in such a small time. So I just want to start off by just giving you your flowers. You do so much, and you're such an inspiration. And even as a young, trust me, nowhere near there no more. But as a man, I'm like, wow. You know, we get so caught up in the things that we want in our lives, and we may not always have them or access to them in that moment. But then we see people living in their authentic self, and you're like, okay, if they can do this, I can do this. So when I speak about social media influencer, singer, actress, all these amazing things, you encompass so much. But if you can ask yourself one thing that you don't tell people that you do, but do on the low, what would that be?
I draw.
No way.
I like draw. So I went to art school. I actually was going to get an art degree. And then when I was in class, they told me that they didn't like the color of my bubble. And I was like, we're done.
So now
they said bubbles, we needed it to be blue, white, and it was blue, white. And I was like, we're done. We're over this. We're done. We're done here. But yeah, I draw, and I've been drawing since I was a little kid. I haven't picked up a pencil in a while, but I used to be like really, really good at it. It was a gift that I gave all my family every year for Christmas.
So you're like sip and paint instructor good.
Yes.
Oh my God. See, now we got to get something going, Lawrence. This is what I'm talking about. So let's go back to the little girl living in San Diego and this big aspiration to want to be a star, right? I've known about this for a while, but I want you to kind of speak to the audience of that dedication that you have in you, where it came from, and what allowed you, or not so much allowed you, what kept you going in wanting to follow that dream, right? We have when we're young, and a lot of times we detour, right? Like, all right, well, singing ain't gonna work. It ain't paying the bills. I got to do this. But for you, it was like, okay, no, I'm going to do this. Where did that come from? And how did you have that support behind you?
Well, really, I have always been weird and delusional. So I think at a certain point, I have this talk with people all the time where I'm like, someone's going to make it. Someone's going to be this, like some people they're afraid to sell their art. Someone's going to sell their art. Someone's going to be on this TV show. Why can't it be me?
Come on.
Why can't it? Why someone's going to do it? I'm going to be that someone. And I think a lot of us, we don't see ourselves. We don't see the light we have in ourselves where we can actually be that someone. We can accomplish that dream. Somebody's like, dang, one day I want to be president. Someone's going to be president.
Come on.
It can be
Somebody got to do it.
A lot of people don't think that they have the ability to be the somebody. Yeah. And I always believed that I could be the somebody, even when it was a little naive, even when it made no sense. I'm like, somebody's going to do it. I will be that somebody. And I really think that comes from not just my mommy, but my grandmother.
Yeah.
She was a politician, and she became a politician pretty late in life, as I guess most politicians do. But she saw an issue, and instead of just being like, dang, can't wait for somebody to fix that, somebody needs to do it, she became that person. And she was elected to public office, actually the first African-American woman elected to public office in San Diego. But she was elected to office and actually did something. She didn't just sit and be like, somebody's going to do it. She was that somebody. And I think that just trickled down to me where I'm like, I'm going to be that somebody. And also, you know, sometimes I feel like God gives you the desires of your heart.
Yes.
And not just the desires that you want, but I think he places those desires in you. And I don't think this is just my own desire because I'm too hungry for it. Like sometimes I can't sleep. I'm like, I have to come up with something. I got to be creative. I got to whatever. And I'm like, that's God.
Of course.
That's dad.
Great. Who else could it be? Right. Because why am I singing at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning? What am I doing?
Why am I this hungry? This makes no sense. I'm single. I'm doing all this. Why is this my focus? What?
Oh my God. So you're hungry for this thing. And I want to kind of separate something real quick here. Not only were you hungry for this thing, but you went to school for it. You know, a lot of people are really big on saying, I want this. I have to have this. But perfecting the craft is nowhere in the timeline, right? We just want it, but we don't want to work to get it, right? We just want it to happen.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you went to school for it, but not only just any school, you went to Clark. Whew, Clark, a young girl from San Diego going to Atlanta. What was the inspiration behind wanting to go to that school specifically for that major?
Well, I am an overthinker, and I looked at the places where I could be. I knew that I needed to be at an HBCU because I wanted to experience life as the majority and not the minority for once, and see what that could do for my self-esteem, for everything. Because I mean, not that I'm the finest girl on the block, but I didn't know that I was even like pretty to more than my mother and my group of friends, you know, until I grew up in San Diego.
Right.
So
right.
I wasn't getting that kind of love, you know. I always thought someone's gonna have to fall in love with my personality first. Then they're gonna like the way I look. And I always thought that. Baby, I got to Atlanta.
Baby.
I got off the plane. I had never in my life, let me tell you, everybody got my number. Everybody. Because I wasn't used to people hitting on me that much.
Yeah.
So everybody, they'd be like, hey, yo, shawty, hey, chocolate. I'd be like, me? Absolutely. It's 619. Like, I mean, I learned later that you don't do that. And then it's like, if someone rolls up on you, you don't just respond to, hey, shawty. Because I was like, shawty.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
But I needed to learn that. I needed to experience being the majority and even just seeing like Black people working so much. I wanted to experience like Black people who wanted to be educated and were just all trying to do the same thing. And my mother was like, get as far away from me as you can. So you can go and like grow up and experience life. And also Clark Atlanta had a lot to offer because it was in Atlanta. Now I looked at just Atlanta and New York and LA. I needed to go to an HBCU in one of those. And obviously Atlanta had the options.
Of course.
You know.
Yes.
And also Atlanta at the time was starting to build more of an industry. This was a minute ago. So like it was starting to build an industry. So I knew that I could still act and I could still pursue the dream. So I knew I could be in school and pursuing acting on the side.
Right.
So that's why I decided. And then even because I was acting, I was taking acting classes and doing all this stuff, I decided to get a degree in not acting, but in mass media arts, so that I could learn the behind the scenes, the marketing, video editing, how the TV film world, PR, all of that, how that world works. Yeah. So that I could be multifaceted.
And it gives you, like you said, and it gives you an insight on what you are preparing for, right? Like, I want to be this star, but I also want to respect the people who are going to be on the other side, helping me and pushing me to get there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, because they are truly just important, just as important as we are. We truly can't do what we do without our crew, without the director, without the writers, without like it. We are the face, but they are the vessel.
Yes.
You know, they do everything. So I loved learning that side as well of like who they are, what they do, learning to video edit. And now I use my mass media skills through my social media every day.
Yes, because I'm telling you, I'm like, I have not met, I mean, I could do a little video or whatever, call it a day, but I'm floored every day when I watch you and your best friend cut up every single day. And I'm like, wait, how do y'all do this? First of all, y'all not tired? Because after I watch, I need a nap. Like, it could be, oh my God.
We used to exhaust ourselves. We have learned now how to have longevity in this, because, you know, the recipe is there. Like, you need to post 3 times a day. There is no way to have a healthy life and be posting 3 times a day when you're doing the content we're doing, where we're getting creative, we're coming up with ideas. There will be time for nothing else. So we started learning a recipe that worked where we can have our own separate platforms and we get our platforms together and we could still have a life. Because a lot of influencers, you have no life.
That's all you do, right? Eat, sleep, breathe.
Because you kind of become like an entrepreneur. You make your own schedule. Right. Even, you wake up, content, 3 days a day, content, meet with this person, content. And I'm like, this is too much.
Right.
Let me find a way to do this.
As an actual person, that's a lot of laundry. I've got time to change my clothes 3 times a day.
Oh my God. But I will say right now we go to a lot of events. And with my publicist sends us out, her team sends her out, and my social media manager sends us to a lot of things.
Oh my God.
So between that, and this is new. This is more of a newer side of like finally being invited to certain things.
Right.
And now we have these friendships with people from Paramount and Warner Brothers and stuff that we didn't have before. So now we're busy, and this kind of busy is exhausting.
Right.
It's fun, but this was the one where we were like we find ourselves sometimes like, maybe we can miss this one. And it's okay. Whereas before we're like, no, we have to be everywhere. We have to blah, blah, blah. Now we're like, we are everywhere.
Yeah, right. We got the things that we were praying for. We got them.
Absolutely. And we know that it's only going to go up from here. So right now we're like, it's a lot, but we love it.
You mentioned something, and it's such a big conversation. I think more people need to have this. You mentioned like going to Clark Atlanta because you were in a space where you were like, hey, you got to get to know my personality before you even tap into the beauty that I have on the outside. And colorism is so real. And I don't think people talk about it, or when they do, they make a joke about it. But it is such a huge issue. And for yourself, when did you get to a place where you were like, I'm beautiful inside and out, and you don't have to disapprove or approve of what you think I am or who you think I am, because I love me and all of that? Because I believe that imposter syndrome can also play into that as well, thinking you're not worthy enough just because of how you look on the outside.
Yeah, I would say that I was so blessed that I never really experienced, I experienced colorism, but I never experienced the internal self-hate of colorism because my mom experienced all of that. So she was very proactive because she grew up in a white world as well.
Yeah.
So she knew raising me in one that she was going to have to be intentional. And I think that's really the secret and the prayer for every dark-skinned child, is that your parent doesn't just act like you're not dark, because you are. And people are going to let you know and kind of make it seem like it's not okay. Yeah. When really it's fine. And when, as a child, when I was really little, my mom was like, God doesn't make mistakes. Don't you believe that? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, so if you don't like your skin color, you really have a problem with God. And if you don't like, and not just your skin color, she was like, anything about somebody that they can't change, that God selected for them. If you don't like this, then you actually have a problem with God, not that person, not whatever. And I was like, dang, I don't have a problem with God. So I didn't grow up, even saying racial slurs about other races in our house. I didn't grow up like that. Like sometimes I'm like baffled when people are like using these derogatory terms for other races. And I'm like, what's weird? I have never done that in my house.
Right.
It wasn't even like, it's not even in my vocabulary to think to do that, because I was like, if I have a problem with that, it's not them. I have a problem with God. He made them that way. He made me this way, this dark. Yeah. This is not a mistake. I don't need to lighten it, Yeah. So, and then she taught me that if anybody doesn't see that, then they are actually just ignorant. And immediately everything that they say is void.
Yes.
Because they're ignorant. So they don't have the power to say anything, because nothing they have to say is valid, because they're already ignorant.
Yeah.
So at 8, I'm going to school saying like, dang, actually you're ignorant already. So anything you have to say, you're just saying it now.
Right.
And it's not hitting me because I've already marked you off.
Come on.
As ignorant. Whereas I feel like a lot of my dark-skinned queens grow up, internalizing that and feeling like,
Yeah.
dang, I'm different. I wish that I could be lighter. I wish that I never once wished to be lighter. Never once needed any of that. But boy, did I experience colorism though. Every joke that you can think of. Turning off the lights. Where's Loren?
Oh.
And I actually didn't know, for a long time, I didn't know people got darker than me. Until a girl from the Sudan came. And then she was, after a while, people started really looking at her, and then people started considering her the prettiest girl in the school. And she was black. She was black, like, you know.
The behind your TV black.
Literally, she was my TV black, and she was stunning. Features, skin, like she was her body, like she was just stunning. But it took a long time for people to get that.
Yes.
You know, and then when they did, all it took was one white boy to be like, you know, she's kind of perfect in the face. And then literally, it was done. It was done. It was like, dang, you know, and then one boy got to kiss her. He was like, oh my gosh, her lips were so full and soft. Like, it was like, it was done. It was done. But I didn't know I had no idea people got darker than me. And then I even got to do I got to play a role that was based on the fact that I was dark skinned, and it dealt with colorism, but like in the 20s. And even playing that role, I had to dig into places that I had never allowed to touch me. Yeah. Where I had to be like, I actually never experienced this feeling even of letting it hit me. Yeah. Because it never did. But colorism is annoying. It's real. And I do think that there's so many people who would have gotten more opportunities if they
just tapped into that
Absolutely.
mindset.
I mean, even like we can wrap up this moment, but like even just my first time leading a TV show, like having a role, it was one day, you know, but still it was my first time being the lead of an episode. And the lighting guy was like, whoa, I'm surprised you got the part. And I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, you know, it's usually easier to light light-skinned people. So,
what?
You know, but I mean, he's like, yeah, they just have an easier skin. And he's like, but I mean, good for you that you got the part. And the things that people have said to my face, as if because I'm dark skinned, I don't have a certain like emotion, even certain men thinking they can come up to me a certain way because it's like, you probably don't have as many options, you know, and just the arrogance of certain people to just say certain things, you know,
because that's the insecurity within themselves.
Absolutely.
Definitely not you.
And it just, you know, it's always rolled off my back, but I always knew that I was not digestible black. Yeah. So even for certain roles, they'll be like, we want a black girl. And it's like, sometimes I'm like, did you mean this black? Or did you mean like digestible black? Yeah. You know, which is like light skin, curly hair. That's like more like, they'll be like, yeah, that's black enough. Yeah. That's black enough. And I just accepted that in this industry. I'm like, I've been dealing with it so long that I'm just like, this is what it is. Of course, I'm seeing more change. I'm seeing more opportunities for me, but there's still so many times when I'm like, you didn't mean this black.
Right.
You didn't mean this black.
When God is calling you to, no one's words or actions will ever hurt because it's called purpose. It's called calling, you know what I mean? And he's going to make a way out of no way, period. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I found something really amazing about your story. You had dyslexia and you turned to the arts. So let's talk about that, because my brother, he had dyslexia when he was younger as well. And when you're young and you're not aware, like we're joking about it because we don't really know the severity of it. And I'm like, you don't know that's a D, and you know, just laughing, just being clowns as stupid boys. But I didn't realize that this is a stigma that a lot of people have. So talk about how the arts help you through that moment in your life, and would you encourage the arts for other people who are going through dyslexia?
Absolutely. When you have dyslexia, you think you're stupid. And it's not even an argument. It's like, it's something you just know. Yeah. Because you're watching everybody around you get things so easily. And just you're taking a test. Like I remember every time they do a test before recess, I would just be dying inside because I know I'm the last one.
Yeah.
And no one can go outside until the last person is done.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes everybody can go outside.
Except for that last, right? That one person.
Except for that last person. And I was always going to be the last person. And then I developed a test anxiety, which I think a lot of people, when they think they have, I think sometimes we throw around anxiety, but I had test anxiety. So I was experiencing cramps. I'm a child. I'm experiencing cramps as if I'm having a period, every time that there's a test.
Yeah.
Where I can barely write because I'm in so much pain. Because I'm so exhausted and drained because I don't want to answer what's 3 times 9.
Right.
My test anxiety. I'm like, if my test anxiety was so bad, I actually went to a hypnotist so that I could function through tests. And then some of my teachers, they had mercy on me and they would give me like stress balls and like stuff like that. There were sometimes I started learning that I could go to the bathroom during tests. So I would go to the bathroom and just stay in there until the class was over. And eventually the teachers caught on and then I had to stop, doing that. But I'm very blessed that my mom is also dyslexic. So she started peeping the signs and just adjusted my world to fix and help my dyslexia and also help me with learning. So she got me a tutor and I did a lot of tutoring. I did a lot of after school tutoring. I just did constant tutoring because dyslexia doesn't just affect your reading or it doesn't just affect dyslexia. It's a way you see the world. So it's a way that I see directions. I had to learn for years how to actually look at a map. Right. Thank God for the GPS that just has a blue line that does this. And now I can, I've learned different tricks through life to like count lines or like to do certain things so that I can, maneuver, whereas everybody else just sees something. Right. And they just like know what to do. I still can't see a full map. Like the old school maps. Right. I look at it, I can't see it. Like I can't imagine someone looking at it and being able to see it. Oh my God. Like it is like squiggles. And the fact that for other people it's not that is wild to me. Props to them. And like even with reading, like doing different words or like really it's the numbers. So like if a code is like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, it's gonna be 18, 12, 15, 3. But the numbers are gonna be there. It's gonna be all the numbers.
It is not going to be in the order it's supposed to be.
It's just not going to be in the order. And I've gotten so much better at like proofreading and like I take my time. I don't let anybody make me feel funny about taking my time because I need to. Right. Where somebody else can write a quick email. I need to sit and be like, and then my little things that I was going to struggle with organization and line to line reading. So I have no shame taking my finger
and
and going. Yep. Because a lot of us don't cater to our dyslexia and we're just lost in the world because it's embarrassing. Mm-hmm. It's embarrassing to like read slow when someone shows you something and you have to be like, and they're like, did you read it? And I'm like, still going. Or like sometimes, the worst is like when I had a callback and it was the final callback. And then they were like, did you read the script? And I was like, no. And they're like, well, your callback is tonight. Can you just go home and read the script? And I was like,
oh my God. Right
now? You want me to? And they're like, it's a quick read. And I was like, for who?
Right. Exactly.
For who? But I downloaded Speechify, which reads it for you so I can sit and listen. Audiobooks have helped me not miss out on certain literature. Yeah. So I've adjusted my world for the dyslexia. Now, autocorrect doesn't understand. But sometimes when they autocorrect something that they think is how it's supposed to be, I'm not going to correct them. Exactly. I needed them to correct me the right way.
Right.
Because I'm dyslexic.
So we're not saying ducking at all. So don't fix that.
Don't fix that. I'm not gonna catch it later. I'm gonna send this off to somebody. It looks stupid.
Oh my God. Yeah. But no, I love that you can also take this in and be a person who can also spread that awareness to people who, like you said, may seem embarrassed, right? It's nothing to be embarrassed about. Once again, it's something that you have, but God allowed it. So it's okay.
Absolutely. And thank God for the arts, because the arts gave me a place where I wasn't stupid, where I could thrive, where I could see what it was like to be at the top of the class, where I could see what it was like to get the affirmation that I was good at something.
Right.
I definitely recommend anybody with dyslexia, try playing piano, try doing anything that's like singing, anything like that, drawing even, because you see the world in a particular way. You can see lines different apparently than other people. So like put that to paper and like it'll make you feel so much better, and actually you'll find more fulfillment in life. Yeah. Because you don't have to match, you know, what everybody else is doing. Because the way our school system works, even props to, you know, our teachers are killing it, but the school system, you know, it's not catered to everybody or how everybody learns. You know, it's almost like it's like making every animal try to learn the way a dolphin does, and try to swim and all this stuff, and it's like you're not succeeding. The dolphin's beating you, it's like, I'm an elephant.
Come on.
But that's kind of what our school system does, you know?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So, you know, being an actress, being a singer, being on Broadway twice, you know, being on American Idol, all of these amazing things for you, when you think of moments that matter, right? Moments that have impacted Loren, what are two in this whole process? What are two?
I will have to say moments that impacted me when I was on Broadway. I would be intentional about finding little Black girls in the audience, because that's always who I wanted to inspire. And I would be intentional about finding them and making sure to give them all the time in the world at the end of the show. If I would pray that they stayed, but even if they didn't during the show, I would give them attention. You know, I would find I mean, what sucks is that a lot of times there would only be like two in the entire audience, you know?
Right.
But I would find the little me and make sure that she had a memory that could last forever of this dark-skinned actress singing in her face, or like like afterwards hugging her, or like, you know, and I would make it a point, even when I was signing autographs, to give people their time. You know, to actually like stop and talk to each person and like look them in the eye and make them feel like they had a moment. If they want to have a conversation, I will stop and have that conversation, even though I have to get through this entire, you know, autograph line. I would still make sure to like try to be intentional about giving everybody me and my and the love and all that, because I know how much it meant to me when I was that girl waiting for somebody to sign my playbill, wanting somebody to do more than just be like, you know, I wanted somebody to say like, hey, you look at your face, you're going to make it. Hey, you know, I wanted that. So I became that person who would say like, who would just be like, thank you for being here. Thank you for, oh, what's your name? Oh, okay, cool. Oh, you want to be a singer? You can do it. You know, making sure that I was intentionally that person. Another thing that impacted me was watching so many people fail. I've watched a lot of people in this industry. I've been in this for like 17 years. So I've gotten to watch a lot of people lead, and a lot of people lead phenomenally, and a lot of people lead where it was, you know, we didn't thrive as a company. And watching that, I was so grateful that God took his time with not giving me everything I wanted, so that I could learn, so that by the time I could get there, I would be a great leader, and I would be a great person to everybody. Because sometimes you don't even always notice, especially when everything is just always about you. Every interview, everything you do is just always about you. You can kind of get in your own world and not notice how the little things you do are affecting, you know, your cast members or all of that stuff, especially the higher up that you go. Your little interactions mean more now, you know? And I was so grateful that I got to watch and learn, so that the few moments that I've had to be in that position, I was able to be responsible with the gift that it was. So I would say those are my two.
Yeah, and kind of knowing, right? Talking about growth. You mentioned like this kind of preparation in the midst of this. I know the first time you hit Broadway, you had a lot of things going on. With Motown, that there was a lot versus Once on This Island, where you were more like into your craft, your purpose, your calling, what you were there for, the gift, and that goes a long way. That goes a
Let me tell you. Being kind to people goes a long way too, because when I went to Once on This Island, I had actually said no to that show, but I don't think that my agents told them. But I said no to that show because they wanted me to be an offstage understudy. And I didn't want to do that.
Right.
But they said yes. So I did that. And it was the most humbling and hardest thing that I ever did, because you are the backbone of the show, but you get the least flowers from everybody else, maybe from your castmates, but that's your job, is to keep the show afloat, you know? And when I left that to play CeCe Winans in a show called Born for This. And then when I got that call to come back, and not just come back as anybody, but to come back as the lead, I was like, you know what, God, you are so funny. You are so funny.
Yep.
Because I dreaded waking up with so much anxiety, being this understudy, never knowing, because I understudied 6 people. So I never knew who I was going to go on for every day. Like I could be the person I knew the least or the lead of the show at any given hour.
Come on.
And my heart just, a lot of time, I was just like, every day I would wake up like that. So to get that call, that it just felt like a gift, almost like a reward for all of the hard work and all the times that I didn't punch somebody in the face when I wanted to punch somebody in the face. You know, I feel like God sees you. All those moments you don't slap somebody upside their head when they deserve it. It's like God sees you making a choice to represent Him.
Yep. And also, I felt like He rewarded me. And also, God never wastes a connection, right? So that insignificant moment that we think is insignificant can be keys to a door that we need to get to into the future. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, come on.
Absolutely. Every time. And that's exactly what happened. And it was like, what if I left that show? And I was like, first of all, F all you guys, you're musty. I never liked you, but I left with grace. Because they let me go. They were like, we can't have you back because you're a valuable swing. And we can't just have you pop in and out because of your thing holds so much weight. And what I did was, I was definitely a super swing to do all that and understay the lead. Like, it was a lot, and I was good at it, which was bad, because I was like, they're gonna keep wanting me to do this on Broadway, and I wanted to star. So I was like, I gotta get out of here. Because once you have a good swing, if I was a director, I had a good swing, I would keep using them, because I'd be like, perfect, my show will survive.
That's right. That's right.
I was like, let me get out of here before this is what you see me as, you know? So for them to then call me back and be like, did we say you couldn't go? Just kidding about all that. That whole, like, we don't need you back thing.
Oh my goodness.
Didn't mean it. and then it worked out, you know?
Oh my God. No, so the other day, I haven't been watching a lot of television, you know, it's kind of practicing my craft and focusing. But the other day I was watching TV. And for ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are watching, you can see we love the Lord. We're called to His purpose, His promises, all of that great stuff. We love Him. Hallelujah. You were on Praise This. Now, I didn't really, no lie, I didn't even know there was a movie called Praise This, but I'm flipping through and I see it and I'm excited. Didn't know you were in it until we got to a point where y'all were in the competition. I'm like, this is me. This is me. That movie was amazing. How was that experience for you to play Kelly in such an amazing movie?
Let me tell you, it was so exciting because as soon as I heard that they were doing that movie, I was like, God, please let there be a place in this for me. I wrote it down. I wrote it down and I prayed about it, and I would just be like, God, thank you in advance for letting me book Praise This. And I didn't know which role I was going to play, because what was crazy was I auditioned for that in 2020 or 2019, I think. 2020 or 2019. I auditioned for that. It had to be 2020. It was 2020. I auditioned for that role. And then, of course, everything was out.
Right. Done.
2 years later, they call me back and they're like, hey, you're pinned we want to know your availability basically for this role. And I was like, from 2 years ago?
Right.
Needless to say, that role didn't work out. So when they saw me for another role, they were like, your read is a little too old for this, but thanks. And I was like, okay, I'm out for that. And I was like, I still feel like there's a place for me in this movie. Like, I feel like I'm going to be in this movie. They sent one more, and it was for a girl that they said they wanted to feel like Mary Mary meets Beyonce. And that she was supposed to be like this fabulous, whatever, leader of this celibate group. And I was like, who's going to get to play that? I'm celibate in real life. I was like, who the hell is going to do that? I I auditioned for it and no callback or anything. I got the offer that I booked it. And I was like, God, I felt it. Like there's sometimes I can feel it. I'm like, this is going to, I don't know how, but I feel like I need to be in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's other things I just want. I'm like, I hope it works out. But that one, I was writing it down. I was like, this is going to work out.
Right.
And when I got that call, I was so excited because I really, really I knew that it was going to be a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and I always wanted to be in a musical movie.
Yeah.
Like in a competition movie, you know, the Fine Temptations type. So I was like, I want that. So to finally like book one, I was so geeked. And then to film it and actually be in rehearsals. Cause that was a prayer too, to film something where I had to like sing and dance and be in rehearsals.
Yes.
It was so cool to meet some of my favorite gospel singers and actually become really good friends with them.
Mm-hmm. That
was amazing. It was just, everything was just, it was a dream. And I pray that they do a second one. I pray that I just get to continue walking in that journey of like singing and dancing and inspiring people that way and having fun. And then even in that movie, I got to have such a cool moment of like a performance. Like even that, it was so cool. It was so cool in person to do, because it was like exciting to everybody. Everybody would come in to watch. We had like hundreds of extras.
Wow.
And it felt real. It felt like I was at a real competition.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Even getting to watch Chloe perform in personal, you know, of course she performs on grand stages,
right? But
to see these like gospel artists and stuff who you usually have to pay for, I'm paid to sit here and watch them do it. You know, that was just so cool.
Yeah. And I think to tap into the relativity, right? Because, you know, everybody finds a relationship with God on their own in their different stages of life. And we're talking about Gen Zers now, right? Like we're the millennials, we're talking about Gen Zers, and the relativity that was added to this movie to make it appealing to the younger ones who may not like what we like. We're talking about old church tambourine style singing, you know what I mean? Versus this right here, which is more like, oh, they've used this beat from. And it was such for me, an emotional thing, because I'm like, wow, like we're talking about bringing people to Christ, right? And knowing that there's room, like you were saying before, a room and a space and a place where everybody can be invited and welcome. Doesn't matter age, whatever, you are allowed here. I felt like that movie brought that, you know what I mean? Because at first they were, it may not do that well, and I'm like, but that's not your choice, right? That's not your choice to say. And all of the critics, and I'm like, now look, I have people who work for me talking about praise this, and they were 21, which for me almost made me cry, because I'm like, come on, God.
Yeah.
When you talk about the power, the blood, it had oil on it. You know what I'm saying? So I am so thankful. When you speak about your experience and all that you have gone through, I'm going to ask you, who would you thank for supporting you through this entire journey? One person. Who would you thank, and what would you say to them?
Man, look, it's generic, I know, but it has to be my mom. Because there were so many times when I was like, Mom, I'm going to give up and work at Petco. Now, I don't know why I was always Petco, but I always was like, I'm just going to quit and work at Petco. And she was like, if you want the application, you can have it. But she was always reminding me in moments of who I was. And like, there was one part that I didn't get. It was down to the final score. And I think it was down to the final 2. Yeah. And I'm in the screen test every day, you know, like, and I didn't get it. And the way that she told me I didn't get it was we were in Hollywood, and she got a fake Oscar for Best Actress. And she said, keep going until you can replace this one with a real one.
Come on.
And that little moment, I didn't even feel bad about the role, because I was just like, okay.
Right.
Then I will.
I'm
going to keep going until I can replace it. You know, and all the times that I went to her and I was like, I could just be so honest with her. Like, how did I not get that role?
Right.
How did my friend get this and I didn't? What should I be doing? But she wasn't even nice to me. How did she, you know, and being able to go to my mom about that, because that stuff can be very vulnerable and embarrassing to share.
Yes.
But with my mom, she was just so with me. And she was such a backbone sometimes when I was just limber, you know? And she had my back, and then also reminded me of who I was with God. Like, that's what I always needed too. Was somebody to remind you of your purpose.
Yes.
And that was definitely that's still my mom to this day. You know, sometimes just like, Loren, I don't know why, but I'm praying. I'm over here praying as well. You know, just having that in a mom who there was nothing that she could ever judge me for.
Right.
There was nothing I could say to make her look down on me. And it made me want to be a good person because I had so much trust, where some of my other friends, they were reckless and wilding because they didn't have trust anyway.
Come on.
Whereas because my mother fostered so much of my joy and everything, she gave me quiet hours because I could sing all day, and she gave quiet hours to consider my brother. But there were no limits in my house of magic and who I could be and happiness. And I give all of that to her, and I pray that I can be that kind of mom. I pray I can be that kind of wife to a husband, even that I can make his home magic, you know?
Yes.
And like my kids' life, I want them to come home and it feels magical. And she always said, the world sucks. Home has to feel safe.
Yes.
So home
that's your place of peace. Home.
Absolutely. And she just made that so possible. And I'm just forever grateful.
Yeah. When you think about a dream role, because you played a lot. When you think about a dream role, I know the answer, but I'm going to let you share with our amazing viewers what that would look like, what that would be.
I want to play actually Mufasa on Broadway. No, I'm kidding.
No!
I actually want to play Michael Jackson. No, I want to be a Disney princess. My ultimate dream goal in life is to be a Disney princess, of course, to be a superhero. I know everybody wants to be a superhero, but I really want to be a superhero. But I just want to be a Disney princess because I know what princesses have done for me, what a dark-skinned princess and Brandy did for my self-esteem and for me. And I actually grew up with so much representation, even having Diana Ross in The Wiz. You know, I want that opportunity to be that for somebody who looks exactly like me. Like, we can be represented, but something about having dark skin representation, it hit different for me.
Yeah.
You know, it hit different for my friends to see it even.
Come on.
You know, my friends who were lighter for all of that, for them to see that, it just hit different.
Yeah.
So I would love that opportunity.
If you could right now just speak to the little girls, right, that are struggling, right, with their identity, because that's a thing. That's a real thing. What would you say to them?
I would say God made you specific and weird, fun, happy, however you are. He did that on purpose. Don't doubt it and trust him, and just try to walk in that instead. You don't have to change all of these little things about you to fit in. God will bless you with the right friends who can foster you exactly how you are. And if you're in a place where you don't feel safe being yourself, get out of it. Don't try to adjust to it. So many times we've tried to be like, oh, I'm smiling too much. They tell me that I'm too happy. Let me fix that. Oh, I laugh too much. They said that that's weird. Let me actually find the people who, when you laugh too much, they don't try to diminish your light.
Come on.
And they actually laugh with you.
Come on.
Who you are is just enough, and it can be safe in the right place. So find that for yourself.
It can be safe in the right place. I love that. And let us know what you have coming up that we can support, Loren, because we're not only are we friends in my head, you're now a member of the Courtney's Corner community. So we gotta follow.
So I don't even know how this happened, but I have 2 Christmas movies coming out this year and another movie coming out. I believe it's going to be with Paramount. But they haven't announced it yet. And I'm like waiting. I'm like, hurry up and let the people know. But that announcement is coming soon. But then I have another movie called Favorite Son Christmas and a Wesley Christmas Wedding.
Oh, man.
They're going to be out later. In December, probably November, December. Yeah. So look for those, but also just look for an announcement.
Yes.
For another movie that should be coming out maybe around like October, I think. But,
man. And while we wait, everybody, please make sure you are tapping into Loren on social media pages, because that's where the fun begins. I promise you, it is always a laugh. It is always joyous. Loren, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to have you on the platform. You are definitely a light. You are definitely a light. You're welcome. You are now part of the family, so you're welcome back anytime you want. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of One-on-One with Courtney Starkson. I am your boy, Courtney. You have a good one.
Thanks, Courtney.
You're welcome.